Hello, welcome to our first class on the laws of Purim. We're going to be using the Mishnah Brura, the Chafetz Chaim's famous explanation of the Shulchan Aruch and Orach Chaim, and we're going to talk about some of the practical laws that happen on Purim that are applicable to Purim. And today is 30 days before Purim, about 30 days, so it's the perfect time to start. So we're actually going to start in the middle of the Mishnah Brura here, and hopefully we'll finish and be able to go back. We'll see what we can do. If anyone has a Mishnah Brura and is following along, we are going to start on Siman Tafresh Tzadi Daled, 694, right at the beginning. So let's start. The Shulchan Aruch says, the Code of Jewish Law, Chayev kol adam litein lepachos shtei matanos l'shnei aniyim. One is required on Purim to give two gifts to two poor people. Two gifts to two poor people. That's what we call Matanos Levyonim. Gifts to the poor on Purim, right? There are many mitzvahs on Purim. One is to read the Megillah. One is to have a festive meal. One is to give shalach manos, and another is to give gifts to the poor. So now we're going to learn some of the details about giving gifts to the poor. So the first rule that we learned is that you have to give two separate gifts to two people. That means one to each person, to two separate poor people. Kol Adam, the Mishnah Brura says, Beinish Benisha, this is a mitzvah on men as well as women. Vafilu ani hamisparnis min tzedakah. Also, even a poor person who himself is supported by charity, he also has to give gifts to the poor on Purim. Litein lepachos. So how much do you have to give to each person? Each poor person. V'rashai liton meichel amos. So first he says you could give money or you could give food, something to eat. The Mishnah Brura says in the name of the Pri Megadim that he says that it's not so clear what the amount is. He hasn't seen the amount that you have to give to a poor person. He says in the Ritva writes that you actually can even give shtei prutas. So what is a pruta? How much is a pruta? A pruta is the lowest currency that they had back in the day, which comes out, according to different opinions, either nowadays to about 2 cents or 8 cents. So according to this opinion, if you give 2 cents or 8 cents to two different poor people, you fulfill your obligation. Not less than that. Now, practically, how much should we give? So there are other opinions. So technically, there is that opinion that you can just give a few cents, but really we shouldn't rely on that. Rabbi Moshe Feinstein says that you have to give the value of a roll and a cup of coffee. That's what he uses as an example. Just like a meal, it's considered a meal, like the least expensive meal you could get. So I figured that out. According to a roll today is about 80 cents, and a medium coffee at Dunkin' Donuts is $1.89. So that's about $2.69 a piece. You could fulfill your obligation for Matanos Levyonim, giving gifts to the poor. Other poskim say that even giving $1 to each poor person is enough. But this is a mitzvah, which we're going to see, it's not so great to be stingy at. Really, if you can give more than that, it's much better. You know, if you give, I saw quoted that Rav Elyashiv, if you want to really fulfill the mitzvah well, it would be, if I did the math right, according to the amounts that they said back several years ago, it would be about $20 per person. Now, you're not required to give that much, but that would be a very nice thing. Now, just as an aside, how do we give? Let's say you don't know any poor people. So in Manalapan and many communities, there is usually somebody who goes around that you give him money before Purim, and on Purim, they distribute the money to poor people that they know. So if you don't know any poor people, and poor means, preferably you should give it to somebody who has no money at all, they're totally destitute, but you can even fulfill the mitzvah with just a regular poor person, which is someone who has seemingly a lot of trouble paying his bills. But the easiest thing to do is just either write a check or give cash to one of the people who collect money to be distributed on Purim. And if you want me to put you in touch with anybody who does that, please get in touch with me. Just send me a message here or send me an email, shaulrosenthal@gmail.com. So we're saying that really you can fulfill the mitzvah, according to many poskim, by giving $1 to each poor person, but it's much better to give more than that. Give $5, $10, $20 to each poor person. So let's finish the Mishnah Brura on this topic. Im hichlef sudas b'shel chaver yatsa yidei matanos va'al kain ani misparnis min tzedakah yitain shnei matanos l'shnei avyonim v'yachzor hein v'yitnu lo. So he says, really, this we're talking about if somebody is poor and he switches his meal, they trade meals, that actually he fulfills his obligation of giving gifts to a poor person. And he says if two people are so poor they don't have anything, you can actually, one poor person can give money to the other poor person and then just give it back, and they can fulfill their mitzvah like that way. Od kasav nirali l'chatchila tzarich litain la'evyo davar haray lehenas b'mena b'purim meichel amos shiyuchel lahotzi b'purim. He says that you should give money or food that a person can benefit from on Purim itself. So there is a discussion. Some hold actually if you give a check to a poor person on Purim itself and he has no way to cash the check and he can't get anything for the check, then one might, according to some opinions, one might not fulfill their obligation because the poor person can't get any benefit on Purim. Shtei Matanos. Zehu Medina. This is according to the letter of the law that you give just to two poor people. Avol be'emes mutav laharbus matanos Levyonim laharbus b'sudaso b'shluach manos l'reav. She'ein simcha gedola mufar el l'samech Levyonim yisam v'amanos. The Mishnah Berurah says everything we've been talking about is according to the letter of the law, that you just have to give two small gifts to two poor people. But really, he says we should give a lot to poor people, and we should really spend more on the mitzvah of giving to the poor than we do on the mitzvah of having a festive meal or giving gifts to one another, of mishloach manos. And he says because there's no greater happiness than making poor people happy, making widows happy, and orphans happy. That's what Judaism is all about, to help the poor and the destitute and those less fortunate. V'domer l'shchina, doing that, making a pauper happy, is similar to the divine presence. Shenemar, it says, lachios ruach shvalim, he gives life to the downtrodden, lachayos leiv nidakim, and he gives life to the hearts of those that are cast aside. V'hinei, hashtei matanos sarach litem mishalo v'lo mishal meiser, v'osaf hashemosif yachol litem mishal meiser. He concludes this topic that a person has meiser money. There's a custom, a law, that a Jewish person gives 10% of his income to charity. He says the Matanos Levyonim should not be from that meiser money that's set aside from charity. However, the additional amount that you give to the poor person, that could be from meiser. So just to conclude, we learned that there's a mitzvah to give gifts to two poor people on Purim. One can fulfill that by giving to the Gabbai, the one who's collecting the money before Purim. And technically, one can fulfill the mitzvah with just $1 or $2, but really it's better to give more than that. Okay? Wishing everyone a beautiful day.